All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Yankees recap. This is where we recap all the latest news, updates, and everything going on in the Yankees community. Now, we got a lot to go over today, starting with the Yankees' outlook on their current postseason chances, which seem to grow bigger and bigger by the day. Now, not Sunday, though. They did drop the series finale against the Mariners, kind of continuing a theme that hasn't been too good for them this year, which is sweep opportunities. They are now 5-11 in opportunities to sweep. That is certainly not good. But nonetheless, they do take 3 out of 4 against the Mariners, which this was a big series for two reasons. One, the Yankees, they continue to play well. They win another series. They rack up 3 more wins. They've improved to 60-51 on the season. And second reason being, the Mariners, they are still technically in the postseason hunt. Now, I've been preaching this all year. I don't look at the Mariners as a good team. They just somehow lucked into a lot of wins. But we put a big dent on their season, and I feel like now, like all of MLB and probably the Mariners and their fans themselves will have to accept this is not their year. They got a nice young core that could be good down the line, but 2021, they're not going to be a threat to make the postseason. I'm not even sure they're going to. I think they might like hover right around 500 to end the year. But yeah, so like I said, we improved to 60-51 on the year. And speaking of the postseason and the wild card, we're now just 2.5 games back of Boston. And when I say speaking of the wild card, that's because I am speaking of the wild card. The Boston Red Sox are now who we're chasing for the second AL wild card spot. Their season continues to be in free fall, and we're kind of getting to that point where you can literally label this a collapse because they lost another game today. They were up 7-2, and Toronto. I'm talking about Sunday when I say today. That's when I'm recording this. Toronto ended up coming back to beat them 8-7 or like 9-8. So they continue to shit the bed. And as for the AL East, Tampa Bay, they're in first. We're 6.5 games back of them. And like I said in the last episode, our season will come down to the wire against them in the Bronx for a 3-game set. But yeah, that's the current outlook on the Yankees postseason chances. Let's move on to talk a little bit about Sunday's game. And that's Luis Gil. He continues to make history through 5 scoreless innings again today, allowed just 2 hits, 2 walks, and struck out 8. He becomes the first pitcher with 14 or more strikeouts, fewer than 10 base runners allowed, and no runs allowed over his first 2 starts. It was a big showing out of Gil today, because he had a really good debut, but you also have it in the back of your head, like, all right, just one game. What's going to happen in his next start? Was it just an aberration? Is this guy legit? And that's still kind of the question after 2 starts. But yeah, he faced his first true test today, which he was in a jam. He faced some adversity, and he was able to get out of it. Now, he was helped out a little bit by this call from the umpire, and also a nice play by Voit to get to the bag in time. But he looked so confident on the mound as he did in his debut start. And he was sent down to AAA afterwards, but make no mistake, he'll be making his next start in the big leagues once again. Let's move on to the next topic, and that is that Anthony Rizzo, he has landed on the COVID IL. Now, the big story about this was, not that part of it was that the Yankees lost their first baseman, right? And that's a very big deal. The other part was that he's not vaccinated, which I'd say, I don't want to say I don't care, but I really don't care. Now, I think you all should definitely get vaccinated. I'm vaccinated myself, but am I going to spend my time discussing a player's personal reasons over choosing not to get the vaccine? No, absolutely not. So you can find that on another Yankees podcast or Yankees YouTube channel because we're not going to do it here. But anyways, expect Rizzo to return by the August or somewhere around the August 19th Twins series in the Bronx. Now, as for the COVID IL and just the IL in general, so we set a new MLB record today. We broke our own record that we set back in 2019. The next man up year. We put 30 players on the IL that year to set the record. Well, Anthony Rizzo was the 31st player to go on the IL for the Yankees this year, which is insane. The amount of adversity this team has faced is insane. From all the players slumping to the injuries, now the COVID outbreaks, we have certainly dealt with a lot, but they seem to push through. Now, the corresponding move for Rizzo was that Luke Voit, he was activated, which is pretty nice that you lose your starting first baseman and your replacement is a 2020 home run champ in Luke Voit. He had a bad game on Sunday, but just his presence in the lineup alone, the way it lengthens the lineup is definitely a plus, even if he's not hitting. But yeah, so let's move on to the next topic. And, this is one you would guess is tough for me to talk about because I am the defender of Aaron Judge, but I'll never avoid narratives that are true because I don't have to create false narratives to protect Aaron Judge. He is so great in many aspects of the game, but something he has not been too great this year is, he's had a lack of the big hit, and that's what this topic is about. Is Aaron Judge not clutch? The way I see it is this. He's having kind of the equivalent of A-Rod's 2006 season where Judge, he's an elite player like A-Rod was. He's putting up good numbers like A-Rod did in 2006, but he seems to have the lack of the big hit. And that was the story of A-Rod's 06 season. If you look up his numbers, A-Rod hit about 290, hit like 35 homers, drove in over 120, but would get constantly booed at Yankee Stadium because he just didn't seem to be able to get that good hit. He wasn't able to perform under the clutch. And I don't want to say Judge has an inability to perform in the clutch, because we've seen him before. He's had big hits. Majority of his home runs in his career have either tied or given the Yankees the lead, and he has a career 853 OPS in the postseason. But I did break down by leverage how Aaron Judge performed this year in 2021, and it is pretty interesting. So in low leverage situations, over 186 plate appearances, Judge is hitting .294 with a .355 on base, slugging .618 with 16 home runs. Moving to medium leverage situations, over 149 plate appearances, still good, hit .281, .376 on base, .484 slugging, 7 homers. Now, in high leverage situations, over 76 plate appearances, he's a .233 hitter with a .382 on base, .267 slugging, no home runs. So as you see, the numbers do decline when the situation gets more intense, but you can tell by just looking at the on base that there's a clear reason for that. What do you see here? His batting average is the highest in low leverage. It's the lowest in high leverage, but his on base is the lowest in low leverage and the highest in high leverage. So what is that telling you? That is telling us that, and it's obvious, that he's not getting pitches to hit. The pitchers are being their most careful when it's a big-time situation against Aaron Judge. So what's happening, at least in my opinion, is with him getting less pitches to hit, he's probably chasing a little bit more, trying to do too much. When what you should do, Aaron, is just take the walks. Because, I mean, if you're not swinging at these pitches out of the zone, if you're not trying to, hit the ball 500 feet when the bases are loaded in the ninth, your on-base percentage in high leverage situations would probably be .500. Because as we saw earlier this year, when you had your one career walk-off, the walk against Liam Hendricks, he didn't want to pitch to you. And that's basically the case, what we're seeing so far this year, or really your entire career. Pitchers don't want to face you. You're a stud. You're a great player. You're an elite hitter, one of the best hitters in baseball. So just don't expand the zone. Don't try to do too much. I'm not worried about Judge going forward at all. Just, like I said, he's trying to do a little bit too much, I think, this year in high leverage situations. Moving on, we got another Luis Severino update for you. He threw 4 perfect innings in Double-A today, which actually led to, I'm not sure if it was a perfect game or a no-hitter, but yeah, Somerset Patriots threw a combined no-hitters today, and Sevy was a part of that. And obviously, when you see 4 perfect innings, you figure he was really good, but everybody that was there, like the Yankees scouts or whoever was watching the game, all had nothing but really good things to say about Severino with his mechanics, the life on his fastball, just the way he looked overall was really good. He's expected to return in a little less than 2 weeks, which I know we are all very, very pumped for. And Corey Kluber, I believe he threw about 40 pitches today, and there was no issue. So we continue to get positive updates regarding those two. A negative update, or I don't want to call it a negative yet. Maybe by the time this video comes out, there'll be some more information. But Gleyber Torres, he is going for an MRI. He jammed his hand or hurt his hand sliding into second base today. So that's not good, especially for the fact that he's been finally starting to heat up a little bit. He's hitting .417 over his last 7 games. So hopefully Gleyber's able to avoid the IL. I knew right away, even once he was staying in the game after hurting his hand, that we weren't out of the woods just yet. Because remember, in 2018, when Aaron Judge was hit by that Jacob Junis fastball, he initially stayed in the game to run the bases. Gleyber, he ended up being relieved by Tyler Wade in the 8th inning, I believe. So keep your eyes peeled to that, and make sure you follow Yankees Avenue on Instagram, because any serious updates will definitely be posted on there. Now, one more thing before we wrap everything up. Giancarlo Stanton, he's getting hot. He's now 10 for his last 25 with 8 RBIs, and that is huge, because what do we know about Stan? When he's cold, he looks like the worst hitter in the world, but when he's hot, he has the ability to carry the team. Remember, from April 23rd to May 13th, he was hitting .378 with 6 homers, and that's when the Yankees, one of their best stretches of baseball was happening. So if he's able to get hot, especially with Judge not really be able to find his stroke since coming back from the COVID IL, that would be huge. And also, too, what we've seen lately is Stan has been able to play the outfield and play it pretty well. As long as he doesn't get hurt, which I don't understand why he would, considering he is in phenomenal shape, is he not? That's why it always surprised me why the Yankees had to prepare him to get ready to play the outfield. Like, 1, you were an above-average outfielder for years in Miami, and 2, are you not in tip-top shape? And I know he is. I feel like it's I think it's the Yankees babying him. I don't think it was ever had to do with Stanton. I feel like Stanton wanted to play the outfield. That is all I have for this Yankees recap. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember, we're doing these a couple times a week. This is my new favorite type of video to do, and it seems like you guys are enjoying them so far as well. Let me just say, I was going to say congratulations. Thank you guys for 50,000 subscribers. I am so incredibly grateful for each and every single one of you. For real, that's a dope number. That's starting to feel legit. And I'm wondering if the Yankees, if their official YouTube people are starting to sweat, because they're at 105,000, I'm pretty sure. And I feel like at some point we may be able to pass them. I'm not sure. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you are new. This is the #1 channel on the platform for Yankees content. And yeah, I will see you guys on the next Yankees recap. Let's go, Yankees.